The Indiana Supreme Court is reprimanding and fining the state's attorney general. Justices found Todd Rokita engaged in attorney misconduct when he discussed an Indianapolis OB/GYN on Fox News Channel. We have more reaction to that decision on our website, including statements from Rokita and from Indiana Democrats. Well, it was big news last weekend in the race for president, particularly here in Indiana, as Mike Pence announced he was dropping out of the race. Today, Trevor Shirley has more from our Washington bureau on what it means for Pence and the GOP field moving forward.
And so far, Pence has notably not endorsed his pick for president now that he's not running. In some bygone time, a former vice president, congressman, and governor would surely have been a leading contender for president, but Mike Pence struggled to gain traction.
I came here to say it's become clear to me. This is not my time.
Polling showed interest among Republican primary voters never took off.
I will never leave the fight for conservative values, and I will never stop fighting to elect principled Republican leaders to every office in the land.
And his decision as vice president to certify the 2020 election results on January 6th may have been his cardinal sin among many Republican base voters.
I don't know about Mike Pence. He should endorse me. He should endorse me.
Pence has stood by his decision, even after ongoing disparagement from his former boss and leading GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump.
People in politics can be very disloyal. I've never seen anything like it.
Some of Pence's campaign competition struck a more conciliatory tone.
He has fought for America, and he has fought for Israel, and we all owe him a debt of gratitude.
Yet even in defeat, Pence did not explicitly rebuke former President Trump or throw his weight behind an opponent, giving instead a vague call to move on.
So I urge all my fellow Republicans here, give our country a Republican standard bearer that will, as Lincoln said, appeal to the better angels of our nature. And not only lead us to victory, but lead our nation with civility.
And two separate lawsuits also get underway this week, which could potentially bar former President Donald Trump from appearing on ballots in Minnesota and Colorado. Those lawsuits argue the former president should be disqualified from running because of the actions he took on January 6th. Those lawsuits argue the former president violated the Constitution's insurrection clause. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley.
Trevor, thanks. Let's talk about it now with our panel. Here with us in studio today, former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, former Republican Representative Mike Murphy, former Democratic State Representative Terry Austin, and Purdue political science professor Dr. Martin Sweet, who's also a veteran of the Rubio campaign. And we're also joined on Zoom today by UIndy political science professor Dr. Laura Wilson. Laura, I'll start with you. What kind of voice do you think Mike Pence will have in the Republican Party in 2024 moving forward from his decision to drop out?
He'll certainly play a role. Obviously, Pence was a large figure. He served as vice president under Donald Trump. But even though he brought that conservative Christian base to the Trump-Pence campaign, which ultimately put them over the edge in terms of victory in 2016, those voters didn't stay with Pence. And he was just never able to quite make enough in terms of getting that kind of support. So I think his voice, his name, his ultimate endorsement of whoever he picks will matter. Is not going to be for a lot of voters, but he left the race, I think, with honor and dignity. It was very clear he wasn't going to be able to make it to Iowa, and he's moving on from that.
Yeah. Martin, do you see him endorsing someone else in this race down the road, and who?
I don't know if he will endorse. If you think about sort of what his natural constituency might be, sort of that faith and flag element of the Republican Party, Tim Scott probably is closest to that ideologically, and to the extent he is one who stands up for the Constitution in a sort of an anti-Trump method, I would think Chris Christie would be the natural follower there. Neither of whom are expected to do very well, so it is
hard to say.
Slicing a very thin piece of bread at this point.
Terry, Pence's campaign was never able to get much of any momentum in this race, and truly, it was kind of an uphill climb for him from the start.
Well, you have to remember, in the Republican base, you know, you've got the very loyal Donald Trump MAGA voters. And Pence just, you know, he was not someone they were going to rally behind. I think by the time all the other candidates had already sort of claimed their population, there wasn't a whole lot left for him.
So, Mike, how will this look now when the candidates debate next Wednesday without Pence there for the first time?
Well, I think there'll be some who take great pleasure in him being gone. Vivek, for example, they seem to have the most contentious. Yeah. But, ultimately, to answer another question you asked, I think we need Mike Pence in the public space, not to endorse somebody. I don't think it'll make that big of a difference. But we need him to act as a role model for young people to see that there is possibility of having people in public office with integrity and character.
Robin, how do you see all of this from across the aisle as President Biden now looks at this potential matchup and this field of GOP candidates that still has former President Trump firmly ahead of that field?
Well, I think it's going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
The sequel.
It's going to be the part 2. Let's do it again. But I also think that there are elements in Donald Trump's party that will not be for him in 2024. They were with him in 20, clearly with him in 16. I mean, this is the third time around.
Yeah. Speaking of former President Trump and the 2024 election, some news this past week here in Indiana as Mike Braun's campaign for governor was endorsed by former President Donald Trump. So, Martin, what impact do you think this will have on the race for governor?
Well, I think prior to 2020, one would say that the Trump endorsements were great, and they really did pretty well. Didn't do that great in 2020, didn't do that great in 2022. I'm not sure that this is a big surprise for anybody, right? I mean, Braun has always seemed to be sort of the Trumpiest candidate among them. But some of the other candidates are also trying to maintain that lane, which actually opens up the possibilities for someone like Chambers, who is clearly not in that lane, to possibly come out of a primary.
Yeah, Terry, what do you think? Might this give Senator Braun an edge, or is it risky for him at all, given the former president's legal troubles?
Well, it's always risky when somebody endorses you because you never know what's going to happen to them or to you. But I think whether it gives him an edge or not, I will say I believe it will help fire up the base of voters that are very loyal to Donald Trump. And that's a significant amount of the Republican primary voters.
All right, so that's 2024. Let's talk about 2023 and the municipal elections now a couple days away. A lot of attention on the Indianapolis mayoral race. Mike, certainly Jefferson Shreve has spent a lot of his own money on this campaign. Will that translate into votes? Can he make this a close race Tuesday night? And what do you make of Mitch Daniels weighing in with an endorsement this past week?
A couple things. First, I think it will translate into votes. It's inevitable. If you spend that much money, people are going to listen because a lot of it is based on name ID. As far as the Mitch Daniels endorsement, I think that makes a big, big difference, particularly with independents and independents. The key in the endorsement letter, the key line was, he said, I don't have anything against Hogsett, but if Hogsett had any vision for Indianapolis, it would have been evident over the last 8 years.
Robin, your response to that, and what else are you watching for on Tuesday night?
Well, I think it's going to be a close election. Anytime you spend $14 million of your own money for a job that pays $95,000 a year, people try to question whether or not what your motives are. So that's one. Number two, Joe Hogsett has campaigned tirelessly in this community. And number three, Jefferson Shreve is endorsed by Mitch Daniels, but Mitch Daniels doesn't vote in Marion County. So I think the real bottom line on Tuesday night is, what's the weather going to be Tuesday day?
Well, I'm looking over to the forecast over here, but 60 and rainy potentially. Laura, what else will these 2023 elections this coming week tell us, if anything, about 2024?
Well, I think we will be interested to see turnout. Excuse me, it looks like it's going to be very high. I'm interested in seeing the coat to hill effect, right? If the mayor race in Indianapolis, in Carmel, if it brings out a lot of voters, what does this do for the city county races? Those are the things I'm really looking at, and especially with the good weather, we should see really great turnout.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. Coming up next, an important discussion on global events in Ukraine and Israel and elsewhere, and the impact here in Indiana. We'll hear from Senator Todd Young and state lawmakers on both sides about what it all means here in the Hoosier State next.